G'day, ZiggyD here, back with some more ChronoBlade. I'm happy to be covering ChronoBlade again, just so that I can say that. But anyway, in this video, I just want to give you guys a bit of an update on what's been happening with the game since I last covered it, because there's been actually quite a few updates. The developers NWay Games are really putting in some miles into, adding into new content to the game, making it more difficult, making it more interesting, and just making it, just a better game all around, it seems. So first up here we can see that the two new characters that are coming up soon have been revealed. There's been some artwork put out, including a poster which was actually sent to me, and the developers also sent me a ChronoBlade shirt, which unfortunately I'm not wearing for this ChronoBlade video, which is a bit of a travesty, but maybe I'll bring that out for a future video anyway. So there's two new characters coming soon, but we don't have too much more detail, except one of them kind of looks a bit steampunkish, which is pretty cool. So we'll jump into Lofi here. And I'll give you guys, while I talk about the tournament first up, I'll give you guys some background footage on the actual tournaments. So the tournament system has been updated. It's now far and away more interesting than last time I covered it. You're now on this sort of floating island, mission thing, and lots more enemies coming in. There's the two side barriers at either end as well that you can knock enemies into to do additional damage. It's also just a lot more hectic in general, with bombs falling down everywhere, lots and lots of mini bosses, and overall the combat seems to be becoming more difficult just for individual mobs as well. The mechanics are becoming a little bit more challenging. I was surprised really at the amount of differences just in this mode alone. In addition to that, they've also added another sort of mini tournament mode. So before they had the Holberg Rush, which was like a see how many points, how many kills you can get in a certain amount of time. Then there's the main tournament one, which is like a wave mode, see how far you can get sort of deal. And then there's the new additional sort of mini tournament mode that's like pretty much like large enemy after large enemy, so like sort of mini boss after mini boss after mini boss, and you fight them all one at a time, and pretty challenging. I didn't actually get very far the first time I tried it, but pretty keen to try it some more when my tokens regenerate. So anyway, I'll cut out the footage and I'll show you guys some of the other things that have been added to the game. So firstly, they've started doing actual rewards for the tournament as well. Before, they just had sort of like this beta mode helmet that didn't give any benefits. It was just like a fancy looking lizard head thing. But now that the game, I believe, is actually an open beta, so you don't even need to send me a message about a beta key anymore. You guys can just play it freely. They're starting to offer actual gear rewards for the tournament. So we've got some champions boots here, which are pretty interesting stuff. The itemization overall seems to have grown a little bit deeper as well. Last time I covered the game, I marveled at how much they've actually added to the itemization system, and they're still adding to that again. So now I'm seeing things like critical damage and other stats. And I also, just in the recent fight I did, found a purple weapon. Oh yes, this was like a huge upgrade for me at the levels. It was insane how much of an upgrade it was. But overall, the gearing system's become more interesting, and I noticed they've also rebalanced a lot of the rewards. So I've got some shadow residue here, which has very different stats to what they had before. So unfortunately my old Excel spreadsheet is now out of date, but pretty interesting. It seems like they've toned back the power of those though. They're possibly a bit more interesting as well. Like the shadow residue now gives all resistances, armor, and extra critical hits, so that's still a very powerful one, but some of the earlier game ones aren't quite as powerful and scalable as they once were. In the world map, in the main game mode, we now have actual quests. So if I click on here, you get a little bit of dialogue at the start, and then that just sort of explains the backstory of the quest. And now it has the quest listed here with, defeat Scree the Queen, usually pretty much tied into the actual mission itself, but just adding a little bit more flavor and depth to it. And you also get some additional rewards. So like for doing that quest, I get some gloves, some experience, and gold. Since I'm already way past those, it's not really worth going back and doing the quests, but should make progressing through the game and leveling up for the first time much more interesting with each character. So that's pretty cool, especially when the new characters come out, make things a little bit more interesting. So as I mentioned, there was the new tournament mode here, which is Terrors of the Deep, which is those large enemies there, and it has the chest rewards as well. And them constantly adding in these new game modes, so now we've now got the 3 of those different tournament modes, means you have more things to spend your tournament play tokens on, which means, if you want to support the developers, you can buy some crystals, and if you're really having fun doing the tournaments, you can, refresh your tournament tokens a little bit more quickly using those crystals. So just a few other little things I noticed while you guys check out some more background footage was that they've added in now the cool little introduction sequences to each boss, which actually quite reminds me of Borderlands 2, which I was playing recently, and how they introduce their main NPCs and bosses and things like that. A lot like that. They do a little move and then it comes up with the name, cool angle, cool viewing. Just, you know, pretty cool little addition there. I also noticed that some bosses now seem to spawn enemies, so that means you have to, you know, it makes the fight a bit more challenging all around, because you have to fight the enemy boss while, you know, dodging its minions and things like that, and also killing off the minions, you know, while they're constantly respawning. So it adds a bit more depth there. I was also reading the patch notes, and apparently there's secret portal zones, which I haven't found any of those yet, but that'll be interesting to check out as well, adding a little bit more depth to the game again. So overall, pretty interesting stuff. I highly recommend checking out ChronoBlade. Every time I get into it, I just have a lot of fun playing it, and I don't know why I stop playing it each time, because it's just a ton of fun to play, and it seems to be really improving by quite a lot. You know, it's a bit more of a casual game than something like Path of Exile, but as far as a Facebook game goes, it's pretty amazing stuff. Anyway, I'll put a link in the description so you guys can you know, get to the game if you're having a bit of trouble. And that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.